Hello everyone. These past few days have been really odd. And I made several videos, but I couldn't really bring any cohesion to anything because there was a very deep spiritual experience I had to just see my way through. It was kind of like a few years ago when I first shut down. I had my first astral battle with someone. And afterward I really needed to talk to people, really needed to process things. And nobody was there. It was the oddest thing. And then I quickly realized when I went to seek out the spirit realm that I couldn't talk to anybody there either. So I was alone. And my body was buzzing and vibrating with this energy, and I had no idea what was going on. I did everything I could possibly think of. You know, people talk about, grounding to the earth, or, connecting to, someplace out in the middle of the universe or something. I tried all of that, but every time I did something, it came back to me stronger. And in essence, so like if I would connect to earth, the energy would come back to me is like a shock. Or if I connected to the sky, it would come back to me. I don't even really remember. I just recall that in my mind's eye, it kept coming back to me. It just kept being reflected back to me. And so it was a very frustrating experience and a very long night of just really vigil with myself. And this was really where I had to learn to trust myself. And the situation 3 days later resolved itself with my spirit world communication coming back online. And like I said, if I ever doubted my communication, it was not having it that gave me the proof that it was there. I've been going through a similar experience lately of trying to validate, again, my experiences, wanting a physical confirmation of what is going on. And so, I don't even know where I'm going. Just these past few days have been really bizarre. I ended up deciding to take out the proverbial garbage. And I had to clear my twin from my mind. I tried working with my inner child if she was throwing a tantrum, as some have suggested. And I realized that was just really mean to my inner child. Because we have a relationship that goes way beyond that. Time of just throwing mindless tantrums is way over. I started paying attention to her a long time ago. So, what this all resulted in, because I talked to my higher self, I talked to my guides, I talked to kundalini, I talked to many different aspects. I even talked to different entities that I realized were involved with all of this. And I finally realized that they all had some portion in this constant torturing of me with all these memories and these ideas of things that could possibly be but weren't right now in this physical reality. So it was they all had a part, but none of them were entirely responsible for what was going on. So I finally just struck a deal with all of them, and I said, look, you guys all need me to figure things out. You need me to be in my personal power. There's a lot of things that you need me to do for you. And I can't do that if you're going to keep pushing your agenda on me. If you feel like it's with this individual that you say is my twin, I can't keep doing that if you're going to keep pushing him on me and pulling up all this longing in me, and then he is forcefully pushing back. So I need you guys to back off. Let me deal with this how it's going, however I'm going to be able to deal with it. But the fact is, I can't do anything until I can move on. Build the life I need to build. just get some distance from this so I could actually just understand it as the understanding wants to come. And not be physically hurting or ill or tired, whatever, all the time. I just need some distance and some space, and I really need you guys to back off. And that little talk worked. So I realized at this point I needed to take out the garbage that I had associated with this whole experience. You know, and a big part of this was me coming to the okayness that I was hurt and it was okay to be hurt. But I also couldn't understand how I could feel hurt, but another individual, but I didn't want to play victim. So how can I feel hurt without playing victim? How can I make another person take responsibility for what they've done without playing victim? You know, is this game really all about me only taking responsibility for everything while every other relationship in my life gets to get off? And I don't have answers. You know, the past few days, so I took out this garbage and I just wrote everything that was on my heart, hoping that somehow my twin would see it. And he did, but a whole bunch of other stuff surrounded it. And it seemed like it would be okay, that we would start talking to each other and start resolving things from a mature standpoint. But then all of a sudden another entity, and this is where I started realizing there was an entity involved that was just driving us bananas. And anyways, the result is we're once again back to not talking to each other. And this time I did nothing wrong. And that was what I finally had to realize. I stayed in my love as best as I could. I stated my hurt feelings without denying them. You know, I said I understood that this is my perception, but at the same time I can't continue to be around this kind of behavior. So there is that whole thing of really needing to admit the abuse that was happening. Emotional trauma and abuse is probably a lot harder to deal with than physical abuse. Because a physical wound will heal over, but it's going to leave a scar a lot of times. And it's that scar that has all that emotional trauma attached to it. But when someone is physically or mentally abusive, we're going to just keep repeating those events in our head. And somehow I became a victim of this, and I have to admit that I can be spiritual and I can be loving. I can try my best to see the other person's perspective, but at a certain point I have to watch out for me. I have to realize when this is not good for me. So a resolution did happen. Lots of people ganged up on me, said some really horrible things to me, because apparently I'm not allowed to be human and have emotions. It's bad for me to ruin his relationship when I didn't even do that. He did it. He's following patterns that he refuses to see, and yet I get blamed for it. I get blamed because all I wanted to do was seek friendship, just so we could try to start to resolve things. But I get blamed for breaking up a relationship between him and a very jealous woman. A woman that in many ways acts exactly like he acted toward me. And I kept telling him, how you feel now is how I felt. Maybe you can see that. He does need to learn. So yesterday I had a good resolution experience. it was kind of like my cemetery experience, but it was the birth aspect of it now. So, I'm going to end this video and I'll start another one. Bye.